Now, as a contractor, it's very important to learn how to run your business by the numbers. And in construction, there is one number that's more important than any others. In fact, this is a number that businesses live or die off of. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what that one number is. Hi, I'm Karan Dillon, president of the Contractors Coach, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs organize their business, implement systems, so you as an owner can step back and manage a highly profitable company that gives you some free time in life. So, what was this one number that I'm talking about that is so important in a construction company? When you talk to an accountant, they'll tell you that your bottom line, right, the net profit in a business is very important. But the point with that is, why would you want a high number in your net profit line? Because that is a number that you actually pay taxes on. So having a high net profit is actually not a very smart way to run a company. So the number that I'm talking about, the number that is so important for construction companies especially, is something that we call gross margin. Okay? If you're not exactly sure what a gross margin is, I'll explain it briefly and I'll tell you why that is so important. So as a contractor, for you, what a gross margin is this. It is basically, you take the revenue that you get, which is all the money that a client is going to give you, and then if you take away the cost of goods, which would be materials, labor, and any subs that you pay, whatever number that is left, that's called the gross profit. Now that gross profit as a percentage of your total revenue is what we call gross margin. And the reason this number is so important is because this is the money that you as a contractor get into your business to run the company, right? Because the rest of it just gets paid out. So if you're looking at a job, let's say it's $1 million job, that $1 million is not what's available to the business, right? After you pay your subcontractors, material, labor, as we talked about, the remaining is the only money that's available. And this is the number that is so important for a business, because this is what a business can actually live, or if it's not enough, die from. So how do you know if the gross margin that you're operating from is actually good or bad? As a contractor, that is the most important thing to understand. Now, in construction, I don't care what type of work you do, your job is going to fall into one of 5 markets, okay? And based on each of the markets, each of those markets has its own range, I guess you can say, of what the appropriate gross margin is. So let's go through what are these 5 markets, okay? So if you're in the service sector, service business, which is, you actually go to people's homes or businesses, they give you a call, something's broken, and you're providing a service. And this is more typical of the trades, or such as like electricians or plumbers, or even HVAC. In this space, the gross margin needs to be between 45 to 55%, which means if you're getting $100, just to use an example, your gross margin, which is what you're going to take into the business, better be $45 to $55. The reason it needs to be at this level is because a service business, in a sense, is a very inefficient business. Not every job you get called on actually turns into a client. You have to have fully stocked vans. You actually have people who might even create problems, and you got to go do callbacks. You have to do marketing. You have overhead, call centers. There's a whole series of things involved in the service sector that you have to account for. And that's why you need to have a margin that's in the 45 to 55% range. Because if you're below this, then you're not going to have a business that can run properly. Now, the second type of market that a contractor operates in is in the residential market. And this is residential remodeling. Not the spec homes, not the custom homes, actual remodeling work. I got to remodel my kitchen, my bath, build me an addition, all of those types of things. In this market, the appropriate range for gross margin is around, I would say, 30 to 35%, 25 to 30 if you want to stretch it out, okay? Here, actually, clients will pay to allow you to run a company in this margin, because this is most of the time it's their home, right? They actually care about the details. They want this done right. So as a contractor, you should be running a business that's in around the 35% margin, because if you do, you can actually run a very profitable and fast-growing company. The next market that a contractor operates in is, you could call it like the light commercial market, the TI space. Here, it's not as forgiving as the residential space, so your margins are going to be around the 25% range. 20 to 25, if you do very well, you can probably stretch it up to 30. Here you're competing primarily on cost, but you still need to get the job done right. You need to get it done on time. You have a lot of space to work as well, because there's no like homeowner breathing down your neck looking at every little thing that you do. So if you run it efficiently, you can develop a business that operates around the 25% margin. Okay. The next sector that contractors operate in is the government sector. Now the government sector, it's primarily low bid. You submit your numbers, whoever gets the lowest bid typically wins, not 100% of the time. So here the margins are going to be primarily, in the teens, sometimes even single digits. Most commonly that we see is like 8 to 15%, right? So if you're the high end, you're doing okay. Low end, you can still get by. In the government sector, the work is primarily volume, right? You can get millions and millions of dollars, 8-figure jobs, sometimes even 9-figure jobs, okay? So that's how you actually operate in this space. You're not trying to like make money off of one job. That's not how you work in the government sector, okay? So there, if you're doing like 8, 9, 10, 15, if you're getting 15, you're actually doing really well. But that's how the government sector works. And then finally, you've got the investors. Okay, investors are not going to give you a ton of money to work on their projects, because that's not what they're there for. They're there for one reason and one reason alone, which is to get an ROI from their projects, like return on investment. So for them, every dime that's spent on building this project essentially is a loss to what they're trying to do, which is make a profit on this job. So if you're working with investors, the margins you can expect are going to be in like the mid-single digits. 6% is actually not common of construction, basically construction fees of a project. So if as a contractor you are involved with investors, first of all, you have to be very careful, because these people typically are very good with their numbers, and you have to be able to play the game at their level. Secondly, it is highly advisable for you as a contractor, if you're working with investors, to be part of the deal, right? Get something on the backside when a property is actually sold, right? Or rented out or leased out or whatever it is. Because trying to run a business just off of margin working with investors is not in your best interest as a contractor. So, those are the 5 markets typically contractors work in, and those are the margins. And as a contractor, what you have to understand is that this number, the gross margin, is the most important number in your business. And if you pay a careful attention to this number, you can actually design a business that is highly profitable, gives you a good life, and you can manage and grow this company for a long, long time. So as a contractor, how can the Contractors Coach help you? 3 ways. The first thing is, if you like the content that we produce, like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get the latest videos that we produce. We produce about 1 a week, and these videos can be very helpful to you running the company. The second way is listen to the podcast that we have. You can listen to it on a podcast app or on our website. It's called Live the Dream. This is a podcast about how you as an owner can develop a business that fits into your life, and it actually enhances the quality of your life, versus the other way around, where most people basically just live to run their business, right? The business takes over all of their life, which is not a great way to do it. The third way you can use the Contractors Coach for your benefit is to download and listen to our audiobook, which is the 7 deadly sins in running a contractor's business. Now, these are the 7 things that we found that contractors are frequently doing wrong in their business that cause them problems. So if you can understand what these are, you can prevent those mistakes for yourself and actually have a company that makes you a lot of money, gives you lots of free time, and you can live a great life.